All right, it has been quite a long time since we've done an update here on the Reverend Trades channel. Welcome back. The markets are looking a little bit better out there than they were last time. Hope you guys have been staying safe as always. I have been hard at work on just a whole lot of new stuff. I'm really excited about the next few months as these kind of slowly roll out. It'll probably take quite a while for all the updates to get done, but I'm going ahead and slowly rolling out stuff as we go, and I just want feedback on it mostly. It's going to take a long time to really get all the bugs worked out, and like I've said, when I've posted them, every once in a while there can be some little errors, repainting bugs, all that kind of stuff. So if you see anything like that, please let me know. Let's look at a few strategies, and then we're going to jump into some of the new stuff and some updates and all that stuff. The market's right now it's in a decent spot, but I feel like it could definitely pull back here pretty soon. Maybe we'll go on a run all the way up to 102, 105, 110 area. But I do expect there's some downside here coming fairly soon. But who knows? This is what strategies are for. I'm just letting my strategies continue to trade. Altcoins, I've kind of turned off a lot of the altcoin ones, but I'm letting Bitcoin strategies just trade through and running some short and long. So we'll look at that. Here is the newest one that I posted. Okay, so there's a channel on the Discord for OGs, and if you've been around long enough, you'll probably eventually get into that channel. So as people drop off, the 25 longest standing members get added to this OGs channel. And there's a few exclusive strategies in there, and there's also just some updates and stuff sooner than other, are released in the other parts of the Discord. So yeah, again, if you haven't seen this indicator yet, no worries, it is coming out soon. But I just posted it a little bit ago for the OGs, the 25 longest standing members. And again, if you haven't gotten in that channel yet, if you stick around long enough, chances are you'll probably get added to that. So this is the AI ML Lite. So ML is for machine learning, AI, obviously artificial intelligence. So a lot of this was designed with kind of that machine learning in mind. And as you change time frames, assets, the bands adapt more to what you are trading. Just kind of the more recent updates I've been adding. So let's look at a few of the features real fast. This is the Lite Plus version. So there'll probably be 3 versions of this for every time frame. And I say time frame because time frame is used loosely now, because all time frames can be used on all other time frames. And some will be more useful than others. But now I'm just going to 31H, stuff like that, just to kind of let you know the general time frame it was built around. But again, you can put these on any time frame and mess around with them. And the exponent AI is really helpful if you are changing time frames and aren't not getting good results. I oftentimes will put this on 1 or -1 or 0.5, something like that, and just kind of fine tune from there if I'm not getting great results right off the bat. So that is what the exponent AI section is for. It will kind of expand or contract the bands, and that in general makes it more helpful for different kinds of trading, different time frames. Something you can mess with. I'm not going to actually mess with it too much here. I'll probably do an in-depth video at some point going into all the details, but the Lite version just has a drop down with the most useful settings that I've found, and then there'll be a full version that has the boxes that you can just put in your own anything in between all of this stuff. But yeah, so the update frequency is how often the AI and machine learning is looking to update. So every 2 bars, every 1 bar, and sometimes you don't want it to do it every 1 bar. I wouldn't probably go over 5, which is why I have the max at 5 right here, because at that point it's a little bit up to the whim and the chance of the market, and it's not gathering as much helpful data. Confirmation bars it's kind of over the span of, it's looking at an extended period of bars. And then touch threshold is how close the price action has to be considered a touch. So what these bands are now doing is they're learning from price action. As price action touches or breaks through the bands, they're slowly adapting themselves to that. And so that's what this whole section is for. Confidence level basically is a percentage level of if it's respected this percentage of amount of time. And so the base level is 66%, because you don't always want the bands to be respected, because if they did, then price action would never break through and you never get an entry signal, right? So we want the bands to be broken through every once in a while, but if they're broken through a ton, that means we're getting too many entry signals. So it starts at 66% respected, and if you want to go up or down from that, that's what the confidence level is for. And the decay rate is just how long the bands take to adjust. So hopefully that is helpful. And then the band's playground area is basically the amount that we're letting the AI adjust the bands. Most of this stuff, honestly, is more helpful if you just go in and start messing with it, because even if you understand exactly what it does, it doesn't mean that you'll automatically, in fact, it doesn't mean anything at all about how well you'll be able to use it. It's really about getting a feel for what general numbers are best and ideal. And the more you mess with it, the more you'll get an understanding of what is helpful and what's not. And even as we go, I'm going to be slowly taking some of these away or adding maybe a few other options. Just, again, there's some stuff that is not going to end up being useful to change. So because this is running on machine learning already, we might find that some of these settings are just the best the way they are and shouldn't be open to be changed, because the results just get worse. But as of now, there's more than we need, and I'll kind of slowly go back from there. So again, the light version does not have the support and resistance layers. Again, because it's just the light version, trying to keep it real simple. It does have validation, and I'll talk about this more in a video. I should probably keep moving before I get too in depth. But something that I knew I just added was the vitality index filter and the trend direction filter, which is just kind of looking at market trend, and this part is looking at like the band's width and the volatility. So those are what these sections are for, and these sections only right now affect the entry and exit signals. They don't affect the bands themselves. So right now with the bands, you have obviously support and resistance bands, the midline, and then you have these entry exit signals, red and green flags, whatever you want to call it. And these are just giving you a little bit of a idea what might be a good buy point, what might not be. And those are coded in as plots, so you can use them or not use them. I'll show you how to do that in a minute. But right now it's only on the entry. I need to do some more work, and again, we're just going a little bit at a time and get them to also affect the exit. But that is later on down the road. So you can see here the green flag entered at a pretty decent place, but it never really broke through the resistance band. So if you're trying to do a really fast scalp trade, these might be a little bit more helpful. You can see even here this one actually did break through, which would have been a nice trade. Let's look. There's not many other green ones right now. This one back here, yeah, that one did break through. Oh, this one did not. This one failed, and eventually, it ended up exiting right here. But that would have been a loss. But a lot of times when you see a green flag, that probably means it's a decent time, at least, to be looking at buying. You can always no, I do not want to do that. You can always optimize. And what the heck is going on? You can always optimize this a bit more. But yeah, so that's kind of the ideas of what these flags are doing. And as you can see right here, it's just really, really incredible results right off the bat. The default settings, I'm trying to remember what I have here going on, and I think it's real simple. So this is how you use the entry signal as a plot. So the entry signal has to be valid right now for an entry. I have a couple weekday filters on there, and then I have the Keltner channel with the percentile, and then besides that, it's just the bands and maybe a little bit of risk down here. I have not added risk to this yet, so again, probably something you would want to do as far as having a max stop loss, because just relying on emergency risk is not always going to be safe. Definitely in volatile markets, especially, or when we're nearing the top of an end of a cycle, I definitely am thinking more and more about having stop losses on them. After we've been through a bear for half a year or a year, is when I might start taking my max stop losses off a little bit just to give my strategies a little bit more room to run. But okay, we spent quite enough time on that. But as you can see, this strategy right here has been a little bit choppy recently, but actually just generally crushing the market currently. This last 2 months are up quite a bit. So some really cool stuff. Again, if you have not seen this, you will be seeing this soon, as well as one other indicator I will look at the end, which is the max version of the full version of that. But let's go into our other strategies and kind of look and see what's been going on in the market. This is the general Bitcoin 30-minute strategy. And you can see the drawdown is actually better than not by much, but it's a bit better than the drawdown. And I do think if you backtest this till like 2015, the results are just really incredible. This is the 30-minute Bitcoin strategy that we've had on the channel for a super long time, just there in the crypto longs. It's not been quite as productive this year and has had a little bit more drawdown February and March. I think that's because it takes more trades. So if this is more of a bullish market, something like this is way better. The AI bands are way better in changing markets. So they'll give you a little bit, profit factor is 1.8, which is pretty nuts, just wild for a 30-minute strategy. This one's 1.7, and again, I think both of these. I know this one's at 6.6%, 0.06% commission. I believe this one is too. So I'm doing all of my strategies I create now at 0.6% commission, just because that's more realistic. So anyway, for those who've been trading the 30-minute strategies, we are digging ourselves back out, and we're actually almost back up to the all-time highs, which is pretty great to see. There might be another pullback here as the strategy retests its all-time highs, but we'll see what happens. Let's look at a couple others. So this is the 1-hour AI strategy. I actually updated the AI bands, and they're a little bit more stable now. So definitely would think about updating those if you have not already. This one's actually currently in a trade that is doing pretty well here. It's up up 1.5%, so not so bad. The strategy has been kind of going sideways a bit recently. You can see the last few trades here kind of going sideways, but slow and steady uptrend since basically for a very long time. So that's pretty cool to see. The 1-hour strategy is doing great. Also, I've had a few questions about the quantum wave band. So yes, I have been in the background also working on some quantum wave band stuff. I'm kind of the bumper bands are the fundamentals behind the quantum wave band strategies, and so they are a very light version for very beginners. They will have a few strategies that I do not include on the bumper bands, but the bumper bands ultimately will have the best tools, the most versatile tools for users. And but if you want something that's really beginner friendly and all of this stuff confuses you, I would definitely recommend the quantum wave bands. There are going to be some cool trending strategies and other things like that released probably in less than the next week, the next few days, hopefully. So yeah, I've been also working on those in the background. So pretty fun stuff. Okay, Solana. This is the 1-hour strategy. This one is going sideways a bit more. The last 2 months have been, small losses, and April has been kind of decent, but really it's been going sideways for quite a while. So yeah, I guess Solana probably has not been doing super well anyway. So you can see the strategy has taken way less losses than Solana has. Solana's down from 88 to 47. So it's almost 50% down from its all-time high still, I guess, which I guess that makes sense. 150 got up to 290. Whereas the strategy's, more or less going sideways. So not so bad for Solana taking such a bad pullback. But I think the 30 minutes has taken a bit more. I have that somewhere over here. Nope. I guess I didn't pull that up. The 30-minute Solana strategy has been slowly having more drawdown over the last couple months. So that one I'm not currently, actually I am trading Solana a little bit, but I'm not trading that 30-minute strategy right now, because as soon as Solana chain got so much hype around it with Trump, I figured that was close to the end of the cycle, because as soon as there's crazy hype around any kind of chain, For ETH, it was NFTs, so on and so forth. It's kind of the end of that. I feel like it's the end of that assets top for a while. Maybe Solana will at some point break its all-time highs, but I don't think it's going to be anytime soon. So I'm with much less conviction. I'm trading Solana right now, just a little bit on the side. This is the 4-hour. Okay, so this one's actually been doing great. I have been trading this one. My bot freaking turned off though. I think it turned off over here somewhere before this trade, so it had 2 massive wins, and I was too busy building stuff. I wasn't watching the bot and missed these 2 massive wins. So really, really bummed about that. Just a lesson to continue watching your strategies and check in on them at least every day or every couple days, so you don't miss stuff like that. But this strategy has been just doing really well since the dawn of time. It's not quite as, like this year it's not as big of a year. Obviously, it's just barely up. But I think if we actually look at it, it's going to be a little bit better than that shows. Let's just go ahead and look at that real fast. Oh, that's funny. It's actually not any better. It's 0.7 instead of 0.3. So barely up this year. You can see kind of following the general trend of Bitcoin. But over the last month and a half, it has been doing good. And if you kind of watch the market, and I generally will try to scale into strategies when I've seen some big pullbacks, you can kind of find a little bit better entries and trade with a bit more conviction if you're wise and smart about it. And again, this is not financial advice, but what I generally try to do is wait for, you can see there's many pullbacks here. A pullback that's, an average of what a lot of these are. I guess probably these would be 62 to 59. So that math is actually hard because it's 62,000. I know that's more than a 3% pullback, but I'll kind of just go through and I'll show you what I'll do here real fast. So I'll look at sections kind of like this. I'll see this pulled back. This is almost 17. That's about 17%. So probably, I'll say, okay, for this pulled back 17%, I'll go through a bunch of other times, figure out what the general drawdowns were, and then average those out and then start scaling it around. So for strategies like this, I'll wait 10 to 15% down. When the strategy is 10 to 15% down is when I'll scale in more. So that way you get a little bit more leverage, hopefully on the recovery. Obviously, if the strategy keeps dropping, then you're scaling in and losing more, but that is part of the risk you take. So anyway, right now it's in a winning trade. We'll see if this one closes as a winning trade or not, but nice little gainer right there. This is a short strategy that has just absolutely been crushing it recently. I highlighted this quite a while ago, and it's been just massively bullish this whole last few months. So making some incredible gains. I'm actually curious what so ADA is kind of just been going sideways and down, and this strategy has been taking advantage of that with these shorts. Another short strategy that I put up there quite a while ago was this Solana 10-minute short strategy, and you can see it took some pretty decent pullbacks right here. So this actually might be a time for me if I was trading the strategy, which I actually have not been recently. I may actually start, because you can see it's a pretty decent pullback. Compared to recent pullbacks, it's one of the bigger pullbacks. So for me, that would be kind of a sign that, hey, it might be time to start thinking about scaling in a little bit more. Okay, so that's the general overview of a few of these strategies. And I'm going to look at the last thing I'm going to look at before we go is the max version. Okay, so this is the AI ML max, which is machine learning, the 30 version of it. And so I'm going to go through and kind of just give you a really general overview of this. You can say the profit factor on this is even better. It's crazy. Now it is taking less trades, and that's generally what happens. If your profit factor goes up, generally means you're taking less trades, because the trades are generally taking longer, or they're making sure that the trades are very viable trades, I guess, at least as far as the bands can know that, which obviously we're trading strategies here, so it's like informed gambling, I guess, is what this is a bit. But incredible profit factor, very small amount of trades, and this is for the last like 2.5 years basically. So it's, what would that be? A trade every 3 days, probably every 2.5 days or so. Um, and you can see that some of these trades will last a while, but it is doing really well. I'll go ahead and do a deep back test of this strategy. Let that go while I am explaining to you the general idea behind this. Okay, so I'm going to look at the ML Max here, and I've already gone through this stuff. There's a couple things that are added that the light version does not have. One is AI learning speed, so it's basically how fast the AI learns from market interactions, and you don't want it to be too low. Like if I put this at like 0.1 or I don't know if I let it go. I don't think I let it go lower than that. Maybe 0.05 was my lowest, but you don't want to go too fast, because then at that point you're not really taking advantage of general trends in the market. The bands will be changing back and forth way too often. So you can find a sweet spot, and you can see up here, support is on the left, resistance is on the right. Yeah, so there's our deep back test since 2015. 417 profit, which is pretty good. Obviously, this was real choppy back here. So when Bitcoin was super volatile in its early days, the strategy did not do quite as well. Obviously, it's still a nice trend to the upside and pretty great drawdown, even though I think if you looked at some of these worst case scenarios, the drawdown would be higher than 16%, but still a pretty good drawdown. However, as Bitcoin has gotten a little bit more stable and steady, you can see that this has really smoothed out a lot, and the strategy is a good bit more optimized for the more recent period of the market, because that is more indicative of the market cycle that we are actually in currently. So yeah, it's pretty good. Still a pretty good profit factor. Obviously, there's a lot of sideways going on, like several hundred trades, like 388 to 600. So yeah, about 220 trades right there of sideways. And then ever since then, besides the bear market right here, which also went sideways, the strategy has generally been going up and to the right. I already explained all of this stuff. The support and resistance layers are as they've always been, kind of your 4 different support, 4 different resistance layers that make up the support and resistance bands. Midline testing, midline and support testing. So this basically is I was talking with Crown a bit ago about this, but a lot of times the bands will test the support band and then break through it, and a lot of times you want it to enter a trade after it's tested it and not the very first time, because the first time is generally not the only time it's going to break through. There are cases where this is not true, but for a lot of the cases, you can see, like, I guess right here would have been a decent trade, but actually not really that good of a trade. It would have just ranged sideways for quite a while. So anyway, yeah, okay, so right here, this would have been a pretty decent place to start a trade, but you can see even after that, it still went lower. But yeah, it didn't take a trade because of this stuff right here. Yeah, so that's just something you can mess around with. If the low has to test it, or the candle actual close, or an average of them have to test the support band or the midline, and the midline is another indicative thing of if there's a bounce incoming. So I will get into all that a little bit more later on. Proximity threshold AI is it's informing all of this stuff here. It's kind of putting it in a machine learning algorithm basically, and making a bit of a average of all these settings, and kind of helping verify that the trade is actually going to be a solid trade. And then you have, again, your vitality index and your trend direction here, which is informing these entry flags, and will be informing the exit flags, but currently are not. And you can see up here at the top right of the screen, there is a little box that's kind of, you're looking at the probability. That's kind of in a bad place. I'm going to have to lower it a little bit. It looks at the probability of the trend being a healthy trend. So right now the trend probability is 50%, which means it's a no-go for, so the signal status is blocked, so it's not going to give you a green buy signal currently, but maybe, you know, if it gets higher, it might give you more of a buy signal and all that stuff. So all right, I think that's pretty much it. Did I miss anything here? You got your smoothing and then your offset for your master band. The bypass just kind of bypasses some of this. I'll get into all that later. And again, in gradient coloring, if you want the bands to load a little bit faster, I'd recommend turning that off. You know, it's kind of nice to have the color on there, but it will make the bands a little bit smoother. At least I always turn that off before I make an alert for my strategy. So, okay, man, that was a long video. Thanks for sticking with me. Hopefully that was helpful. Again, a lot of really, really fun, cool updates coming very soon. So stay tuned. Another thing that's really important, I should have mentioned this at the beginning of the video. The price of the subscription is going to be rising, as well as the price for the lifetime, because I'm just putting so much time into building these new bands, and they should be very much worth it for users. So if you lock yourself into a monthly or yearly subscription price, it will not change for you, but for new members or rejoining members, the price is going to go up. And I'm probably going to I'm reworking a little bit of how everything functions. I'm going to have to figure that out. But again, if you're locked in, and you don't have anything to worry about. Yeah, just kind of get things to make sense for this crazy amount of hours I'm spending building these here. So, all right, all that to say, I hope you guys have a great one. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you guys next time.